Let's check out the grid for you as they line up for the second race today. 20 laps the distance. Craig Lowndes and Mark Scaife on the front row. Row 2, Garth Tander and Russell Ingall.
Jason Barbagallo and Paul Radicic start out of row 3. Mark Larkham, another Ford of Tony Longhurst. They'll start out of 4.
We go back to row 5. Stephen Johnson alongside Paul Morris. Then it's Cameron McLean and the Bathurst winner, Greg Murphy.
Larry Perkins and Stephen Richard alongside Paul Wheel and Glenn Seaton way back there in 16.
Steve Ellery and Dougal McDougall on row 9. Row 10, Steve Reed and Mark Poole.
Neil Crompton having real problems with the setup on that car. Cameron McConville, Brad Jones also struggling for setup on the Falcon. And Rodney Forbes back there in 24th position.
We go back to row 13. Anthony Tratt in the Toll Racing Falcon alongside Thomas Mazira. Then it's Mick Donoher and Craig Baird.
Trevor Ashby and John Faulkner. Paul Romano and John Bow after those power steering dramas in Heat 1. He's back for Heat 2.
So that's how they line up for the second race of the day. Dick Johnson. Holden dominating at the moment. Can the Ford boys get up there?
Well, obviously a lot of the guys have changed their setup for today, so it'll be very interesting to see. But there's a huge advantage around this racetrack starting from the front row, and the HRT have dominated the front row here for some time.
Yeah, can anyone stop them? It really is their favourite playground. If someone is, this is probably one of the likely candidates, Paul Radicic. Johnson Racing making a few changes overnight. Looked very good in the warm-up this morning. So can Paul Radicic turn the tables on Holden Racing Team? But they've got this critical front row starting position. John Bow. Power steering problems yesterday in the Caterpillar Ford. Great disappointment for the team. They fixed that overnight. He's going to start from way down the back of the grid. He's got a lot of work to do today.
Word from pit lane is that track temperature today is cooler than it was yesterday, and there's a bit of a cool breeze about as well, so will be interesting to see just how well things go. We saw Mark Larkham dropping back through the field yesterday, qualified very well in the Mitre 10 Falcon, but as the back tyre got a little too hot, he dropped back through the field. Look at that, an all Holden Racing Team front row. 10 times Craig Lowndes has entered a Shell Championship race here, and 10 times he has walked away a winner, undefeated in V8 supercar terms at Barbagallo Raceway. Waiting for a green flag at the back of the field. Officials just pushing one of the cars back into position. Looks like possibly Trevor Ashby. And then we'll be underway and set for a start. Get ready, folks, here at Barbagallo. Will it be Lowndes? Will it be Scaife? Lowndes got the upper hand in race 1. Who is it in race 2? Red lights ablaze. An all-red HRT front row. We're away. Lowndes gets another blinding start. So too Mark Scaife. Look at the enforcer. Russell Ingall blinding off the start line and gets past Garth Tander, who's getting chased by his own teammate, Jason Barbagallo.
Well, we all hold our breath as this big field funnels through the first turn. 32 cars in all. They're going to sort themselves out. That great aerial shot shows it. Side by side as they come up through the S's the first time around. But it looks like another relatively clean start as they swing around up the hill for the first time.
Looks as though there was a bit of contact between the teammates, Jason Barbagallo and Garth Tander. Tander got the upper hand as they came through Shell Corner.
What can Mark Scaife do about this, Dick Johnson? He got beaten second time off the start. Craig Lowndes, clean pair of heels. Well,
the secret of these 20-minute races is to get a very, very clean start. And if you get fresh air in front of you, the engines work better because the air's cooler. And you can just settle down and do it at your own speed.
The field streamed down the hill. Look at them, a big move here by Mark Poole. On one of the Optus entries, I think you'll find that was Steve Reed at the back of the pack, the Sabco Commodore. Paul Romano, look at Scaife, trying to put the pressure on Lowndes, and look at this, Paul Morris with the Caltex Haviline Falcon all over the back of him. Tony Longhurst chasing Morris.
Morris finds himself in the top 10 the first time around. The order is Lowndes, Scaife, Ingall, Tander, Barbagallo, Radicic, Larkham, Johnson, Paul Morris up there in 9th position, and Tony Longhurst in the Haviline Ford rounds out the top 10. Behind him, Greg Murphy in the Kmart machine, Cameron McLean, Stephen Richards, Glenn Seaton, Wheel, Perkins, Ellery, McDougall, Reed back there too, and Mark Poole rounds out the top 20.
Tony Longhurst fired up about his association this season with Stone Brothers Racing. He exits Cold Corner for the run up the hill, chasing Paul Morris in the Big Kev Racing Commodore. Morris has been in the thick of things all week, and look at this, Longhurst all over the back of him now. Morris playing defensive as they head towards the start-finish straight.
Yeah, for a guy so new to the scene in his own car and his own team, he's quite impressive speed here as Tony Longhurst has a sniff up the inside. He's going to go hard under brakes, side by side as they break into the turn, and Longhurst has got him. Morris might be hung out to dry.
He's going to get hung out to dry, right?
Yep. Pulls it back on the racing line, manages to shut out the Kmart Commodore.
Actually, it's a pretty good effort by Morris, really, because he's in some fairly good company there, I can tell you.
Yep, it really is quite an impressive debut speed-wise.
Well, if he can get his head round racing rather than running into people, I think he'll do a great job.
There's your order, unchanged. Craig Lowndes at the front of the field from Scaife, Ingle, Tander. Look at Murphy having a look at Paul Morris here. Down into Kolb corner. Morris shuts the door.
Yeah, I was talking to the Kmart team yesterday. They were in all sorts of bother. They didn't quite know which way they were going to go and set up. They made some changes to the car last night. Look how close Scaife is behind his teammate. He couldn't get past Lowndes in the first heat yesterday afternoon. Let's see if he can turn the tables this morning. But Russell Ingall right up with the Holden Racing Team duo in this one.
In the background too, you could see very briefly the Gary Rogers Motorsport teammates battling away. Paul Radicic has managed to get the upper hand on Jason Bargwanna. Tander sits at the moment in 4th place. Radicic now up to 5th.
John Bowe pushing hard in the cat forward, but he's got a lot of work ahead of him.
He's got plenty of work ahead of him. I've been there, I know what that's like. It's terrible.
Here's Craig Lowndes, the man of the moment. Perfect record at Wanneroo.
He's giving it everything too.
He really is pushing hard. Scaife will be applying the pressure too.
I think Mark's really looking forward to having a bit of a win here, because he needs to sort of grab a few more points.
Yep. We saw what happened last year when Lowndes got that big win at the Adelaide 500. It really did destroy Scaife's chances. This year the points score maybe a little bit more equitable. Looking at the back of Paul Radicic's car, Shell Helix camera takes you right into the heart of the action. He's got Garth Tander up behind him, but Jason Bargwanna, I should say. So the Valvoline team putting the squeeze on the Shell forward, and once again, Paul Radicic, the fastest of the Falcons.
Not too far in the background, there are also Mark Larkham and Stephen Johnson. This is what's happening at the front of the field. Craig Lowndes from Mark Scaife. Russell Ingall sits in 3rd place. This enthralling battle continues for 4th. Garth Tander holding out the hard-charging Paul Radicic, and Jason Bargwanna coming along for the ride as well.
In-car camera in the meat, in the Valvoline Cummins sandwich, the Be Clear and simple onboard telemetry. You're riding with Paul Radicic. Let's look at the speed on the right-hand side of your screen. Almost 250 kilometres an hour when they brake hard for this corner onto pit straight. Looks like hard work out there, Dick Johnson.
Well, it certainly is, and the temperature that inside these cars is quite alarming at times. It gets up over 60 degrees C, so it's like exercising in a sauna. Just let a few laps go by and see what happens with the tyres, because even though it's cooler today, the tyres still really get a hard workout around here.
And a lot of the teams have been saying, particularly that left rear tyre.
Well, the left rear tyre through this particular corner here, which is Kolb corner coming up onto the main straight, the tyre is alone for such a long time with your foot flat on the floor.
And there's a lot of pressure now on Radicic from Bargwanna in car 35. He's right up behind the tail of the Shell Ford. There's Larkham sitting in behind him, and Stephen Johnson. Good strong performance from Junior this weekend. He's up there in 8th position. Just shadowing his teammate who's a few positions up.
We can see that Jason Bargwanna is having a crack at Paul Radicic, and he dives down the inside. We go on board with Paul Radicic, and Barks gets through. So the Gary Rogers Valvoline Cummins Commodore of Jason Bargwanna on fire at the moment. He has moved himself past Radicic.
7:30 tomorrow. If you 7:30.
Well, it's a very important race for Jason Bargwanna. Keep in mind he hasn't got any points after Phillip Island. Wasn't a good way to start the championship. He qualified 12th here last year and finished 19th. This is a much better result for the Valvoline Cummins driver this weekend if he can hold it all together. But now Radicic in behind. Mark Larkham maybe closing the gap a little bit to the back of the Shell Ford. So the order now, Lowndes, Scaife, 1.6 seconds the gap to Ingall. Tander, Radicic and Bargwanna. Of course, that great scrap there, but Bargwanna got him last time around. Mark Larkham.
Look at Paul Radicic having a crack here. Bargwanna got very taily on the entry to the start-finish straight. Radicic all over the back of him can sense an opportunity.
You've only got to make a very, very small mistake here.
Well, after taking Radicic, he's not getting away from him. Come up through the S's. Let's have a look at the Shell Helix replay.
And this is a look at the passing manoeuvre that Barbagallo made on Radicic.
Yes, well, he's gone over on the right-hand side of the circuit, and Paul, being the gentleman he is, didn't push him off the road.
He gave him racing room, but he's right back on the bumper. Barbagallo has not been able to pull away from the Shell Helix Ford the last time around. And a very competitive run from the Mitre 10 Falcon of Larkham. He qualified well and is continuing that form in the race. The Mitre 10 Ford looking strong.
Radicic, the best of the Falcons on the circuit at the moment.
Actually,
in sixth place.
I think Barbagallo's got problems.
Barbagallo has dropped a couple of positions. They were looking for him, but he's actually gone back a couple.
Yeah.
So I don't know whether he made a mistake or whether he's got a...
Well, you've only got to make a small mistake in this market, and you get shuffled down the back of the pack so quickly.
Stephen Johnson in the background there. We saw Dick under a bit of pressure from Tony Longhurst in the Caltex Haviland Falcon. You ride aboard the Mitre 10 Falcon with Mark Larkham, who is in behind Paul Radicic at the moment. 5th and 6th place respectively. There's Radicic out the front. And we look back, there is Jason Barbagallo, who's had some sort of dilemma and is now trying to find his way back forward.
Yeah, it doesn't look like he's slowed down too much, but he just made a slight little mistake there to allow those two cars to get back in front of him.
I reckon he would have made a mistake here on this corner, and a few cars have gone past him up the straight.
Yep. So full throttle up the hill, 250 kilometres an hour, flat in 6th gear as they come over the top. They break hard for pit straight once again. So Larkham now with his mirrors full of the Valvoline Cummins machine. Stephen Johnson in behind him in the second of the Shell Fords. And Paul Morris has dropped back in the order. Tony Longhurst is on a real charge. He now fills out the top 10.
Morris has dropped back probably under the weight of Kev, I think.
Stephen Johnson remains under pressure from Tony Longhurst. We are at half race distance, folks, lap 10 of 20. And the fastest man on the circuit last time around, Paul Radicic, a 58.73. So the Shell Helix Ford certainly going very, very well at the moment. So let's recap them for you, folks, as they stand here at Barbagallo at the moment. Craig Lowndes from Mark Skaife, Russell Ingall and Garth Tander. Paul Radicic doing great things, best of the Fords at the moment. Then it's Larkham, Barbagallo, and Stephen Johnson rounds out the top 8. Longhurst, Morris, Murphy, McLean, Wheel, Perkins, Ellery and McDougall. And Lowndes go on and win another one. Find out right after this. Nice to have you with us in the West. The Monroe safety car continues to make its way around the circuit during the break. This is what happened. Cameron McConville went off in the Auto Pro Commodore. That's just down on the entry to the start-finish straight. Dick, just looks like a driver error. Just
unfortunately got the back wheels locked up going into the turn, coming onto the main straight.
Here we go again. We are racing, folks. Craig Lowndes leads the field from his teammate Mark Skaife, and the gap to everyone else is now bunched up nice and close. Russell Ingall in 3rd, Tander in 4th. First to the Fords is Paul Radicic.
I think Russell Ingall will be very encouraged by the performance of his car in this second heat. Those Holden Racing Team cars only opened up a 1.5 second gap over him before the safety car came out, so the performance of the Castrol car here far more impressive than we've seen the previous weekend.
It certainly is, and it's amazing to see there's about 3 or 4 Commodores up the front, and then there's a string of Fords.
So Lowndes leads the field down into Kolb Corner. Race one yesterday, just as we've seen him do so many times in the past, and his teammate Mark Skaife, up until that safety car period, really had thrown a great deal at him, but Ingall now has dropped out of the clutches of this leading duo.
Where do you think the Commodores have the advantage around this track, Dick? They're so strong here, particularly the Noble Holden Racing Team.
Well, it certainly is, and obviously a lot of these guys have been utilising Bridgestone tyres for some time, and to understand a tyre is a huge plus. But around this track, it's, you can change tyres and it makes an enormous difference to the car.
Yep.
Russell Ingall, 2 times a winner at Mount Panorama and a bridesmaid in the Shell Championship Series on several occasions. Wants to turn it around in 2000. Yesterday, a good start to things, but I'll tell you what, not the best of starts at Phillip Island.
He's got to do it too, because Phillip Island is a shocker. He's 31st in the championship. He's got no points from the island. This round last year, he qualified 13th, got 11th overall. So things have started much better for the enforcer, and he has to start getting those points together, because this championship is so tight and so competitive, you can't afford to drop the points.
Well, Ingall got a 4th yesterday in behind Garth Tander, who finished 3rd in the HRT Duo 1 and 2. Look at the field as they stream down the hill. Then it's hard under brakes for the right-hander and onto the start-finish straight. This is a real freight train in behind Mark Larkham. Barbagallo, Stephen Johnson's up there, so too Tony Longhurst and Paul Morris tagging on to the back of the pack. Don't forget, of course, the Clipsal 500 coming up on the streets of Adelaide early in April. What a sensational event that was last year, and the organisers are tipping it to be even bigger and better in 2000.
Well, it's a great battle here behind Mark Larkham. Larkham now sitting in 6th position, so this is effectively the battle for 6th, and involves a number of cars. Larkham, Barbagallo, Steve Johnson, Tony Longhurst, Paul Morris climbing onto the back as well. In-car camera looking out the back of the Mitre 10 Ford. As Jason Barbagallo tries to claw back those 2 positions he lost. Didn't see why he lost them, but now he's paying a heavy penalty. He's got Stephen Johnson breathing down his neck in the second of the shell forwards.
Bargs is using all of the track too. We saw there on the exit of Cold Corner, he ran right over the white line. Larkham looking focused for the entry to the start. Finished straight here at Barbagallo. And tucked in behind him is Barbagallo. Stephen Johnson incredibly close, Dick.
I tell you what, you cannot afford to make one little mistake, because the moment you do that, that's what happens. You get a bit of push and shove, and you get your nose up in there, and you...
Talk about push and shove, it's all going on here. John Faulkner, Dougal McDougall in the Pepsi Commodore. Look at this, Mark Poole coming for the ride as well in the John Deere Commodore. So this trio are all prepared to trade paint.
Yes, excuse me.
I think there are a few elbows out coming down the straight there. A bit of Biff and Barge, both sorting position, 3 wide at one stage. Mark Poole looks like he's run a little bit wide on the exit there on the John Deere Commodore. The new Team Asia online Commodore, John Faulkner. Great to see the internet company on board, backing this guy. Car looking pretty competitive in its opening appearance at Barbagallo.
Well, Barbagallo, traditionally has produced some fantastic racing over the years, and with the cars being that close, it's just incredible.
4 laps to go in this one, folks. Holden Racing Team 1 and 2 out in front of the field. Lowndes from Scaife, Ingle in 3rd, Tander 4th, Paul Radisich 5th, the first of the Fords, and then it's Mark Larkham. We're looking a little further back in the pack at the moment of this battle between Baird and Faulkner and Poole. 18th, 19th and 20th. Have a go at this. John Bow and Rodney Forbes dicing away as well.
It's just incredible, isn't it, when you look at how competitive and how topsy-turvy this championship is. Craig Baird, the winner of Heat 2 at Phillip Island in February, now finds himself battling for a place in the top 20.
Had a rough run as well at the Grand Prix support races, so bear in mind this is really his first visit to the West. First time out on the Barbagallo circuit. John Bow in the Cat Falcon has a look at his rear view mirror just to see who's in behind him. You can see in front of him Neil Crompton.
Bow's back in 24th position at the moment. Just shows how hard it is. He started from right at the back of the grid. 3 laps remaining after that power steering problem. And I guess, Dick Johnson, we talk about consistency in championships.
Oh, McLean.
Cameron McLean.
In the bunker.
Not sure what part of the track that is. That's
a couple of
2 involved.
That's happened there in the same place. Cameron McConville went off. Now it looks as though that's Stephen Richards that's gone off there as well with him. So both Richards and McLean have come off, and the Greenfield Mowers Falcon is buried well and truly in the trap.
He certainly is, and you can see how it stops you, because it's hardly even gone off the racetrack there.
He's buried it so deep, it looks like he's snowed in. He couldn't get the driver's door open. He's going to go out through the passenger door.
I think mandatory tools to have around here is a bucket and spade.
Now, I guess the question is, what will the officials do? That's where Cameron McConville went off before. They brought out the safety car for that. Word from the pits is they're going to keep a yellow flag out there only and allow this race to continue. This is what's happening at the front. Craig Lowndes continuing on his way, hopefully, he thinks, towards victory. 2 laps to go for the youngster, and in behind him, his teammate, Mark Scaife.
Yeah, it's not a bad idea just waving a local yellow there so the drivers can't overtake. As they come past that, they know it's there.
Radisich is right on top of Contender now, so this will be pretty interesting.
He's been very quick in the race, Dick, just watching his times. Consistently one of the fastest cars on the track.
So Russell continues his way through Shell Corner. Let's take a look at the Shell Helix replay of this incident.
He's obviously just got it wrong under brakes. And
I was going to say, I didn't see the Kmart car there. So
well, it could well be something on the racetrack there, although it hasn't affected anyone else.
Let's have a look at this from above, Dick.
Locked up rears.
And wait for Richards. Where's he?
He's still coming, but it won't be long.
The driver error there. Maybe someone has dumped something on the circuit. Don't see any oil flags out there.
Well, the way it's going at the moment, it's going to be a carbon copy, almost, in terms of the top 2 of yesterday. Lowndes leading Scaife. The difference for 3rd place at the moment as we start the last lap. They're on their way home. Russell Ingle is in 3rd, ahead of Garth Tander.
2.4 kilometres, or less than 2.4 remaining Positions remaining fairly static. How tough it is to pass Barbagallo Raceway, particularly when the cars are so evenly matched. There's Larry Perkins, Glenn Seaton back in there behind Baird. So that's the battle for 15th position. Look at John Bow.
He's getting a bit of a touch up there.
Rodney Forbes is prepared to mix it in the wins Commodore. Let's take a closer look at Glenn Seaton. This might give us an idea of what happened to Stephen Richards.
He's done exactly the same. He's just locked up rear brakes. And it's so easy to do there.
Why is that? Is that because the corner's a bit off camber and it can catch you out?
Well, the track actually comes downhill into the braking area and then starts to rise up again. And when it starts to level out is where the rear brakes come unstuck.
Well, this is where they are on the circuit now, the very same corner. Craig Lowndes leading the field, and he'll greet the checkered flag this time around. Nice and sideways for the Holden Racing team. Lowndes takes it out. Well done to the youngster. Another win from Mark Scape, third home, and points on the board. Valuable points too for Russell Ingall. Then it's Garth Tander, and first to the Fords home. Well done to Paul Radisich.
Well, Paul, you know, he's been struggling with car setup all weekend, and hopefully he's just found something they can make it a bit better with, because they did very well on the warm-up, and I think their race results and their consistency in times made a difference.
And the key thing is, Dick, he's just getting those points. Every time he's out there, he's getting points, and that's how you got to win the championship.
Well, it takes a while to sort of get these guys to learn that, but that's certainly the case.
Well, let's check them out after 22 laps. Craig Lowndes, your winner from Mark Scape. Russell Ingall, Garth Tander, Paul Radisich home fifth. Second of the Fords, Mark Larkham, a great effort. We go further back, Morris, Murphy, Wheel and Ellery. What a terrific race. We'll take a short break and come back here to Barbagallo.